A dream is a succession of images, ideas, emotions, and sensations that usually occur involuntarily in the mind during certain stages of sleep. They're individually based on things you've seen, heard, and experienced. But what if I told you that some of my dreams have taken place where yours have, and vice versa? I'm your host Emily, and dreams are weird, so here's our list of the top 10 mysterious places you've seen in your dreams. A lot of settings in dreams are liminal spaces, which by definition are locations that serve as a transition between other locations, time periods, or states of mind. These are places that North American 90s and 2000 kids are very receptive to, as there's a lot that's not unique about our upbringings. Typically, these places are abandoned and oftentimes empty places. This makes it feel frozen and slightly unsettling, but also familiar to our minds. Dreams like these are common among us, so let's jump into the list and hear people's dreams and see which ones you have experienced. Number 10. Play areas. These are really specific to late 90s and early 2000s babies. The dream takes place in an area that's like a kid's play area. There can be bright colors, toys, and wall art. What most stands out though is the animatronics, animals, and trees with faces that can talk. The best comparison I can think of is to what you can find at Great Wolf Lodge. It's very strange, but it's your subconscious going back into your mind and warping memories you had as a child. It's creepy and nostalgic all in one, but just know you're not alone in dreaming these things. Number 9. Grass hills. It's common to dream about being outside with big winding hills that are neon green and a bright blue sky. It's so bright and nice, it's almost unsettling. It can be compared to where the Teletubbies live and almost cartoon looking. Another good example is the landscape home screen from Windows. You know which one I'm talking about. It doesn't quite make sense physically how the hills got there and how they're structured, but there's a sense of familiarness to it. This dream can represent your fear of new responsibilities. You are letting others determine where you go or decide on your goals, and you want to explore and experiment. An example of this type of dream is, I was wandering in my backyard and I was chasing a butterfly. As I looked away from a moment, I realized that I was on a hill and all I could see out were more and more hills. When I looked back at the butterfly, it was gone, and I was alone in this space I couldn't escape from. Number 8. An empty water park / pool. It's common to dream about an empty water park or pool area. It's a confined area of water. Whereas dreams about open water, lakes, and oceans are seen as being free and endless possibilities, these places are about being contained. It's usually in a dark room or at nighttime, and the water can be green and murky. This type of dream is an indication of anxiety, stress, and other negative thoughts. It could imply that challenging situations are coming your way as a result of lack of preparation and effort. This dream encourages you to work harder and consider the consequences of your actions. An example is, I keep having a reoccurring dream about some kind of abandoned water park. It's like a giant square pool with massive slides going into it, nothing else. And in these dreams, I'm in one of these slides heading into the mossy, dirty, and stagnant water. It's quite horrifying to say the least, and sometimes the dreams lead onto a feeling of drowning. Yikes. Number 7. A parking lot. A dream that comes up for a lot of people is dreaming that you're in a parking lot at night. It's dark and cold, and there are either no cars or only a couple, and I'm not sure which is worse. Usually, you can't make out if you're in a parking lot in front of a store or just out in the middle of nowhere. Dreaming about this means that you're having a problem accepting an aspect of your own character. Somebody may be pretending to be somebody they are not and are hiding under a facade and is a harbinger for someone who is mysterious. An example is, I exited a building at nighttime and I was in their parking lot. There were maybe 1 or 2 cars there, no one was around, and it made me feel weird. I kept looking around because I felt like someone was watching me and I couldn't shake the feeling. Number 6. An empty hospital. Everyone has had those empty hospital dreams, right? It's dark, the lights are flickering, and most importantly, you're alone. The dream of seeing a deserted and empty hospital has a more personal meaning though. It can mean that you have to stop putting all your hopes into others and pursue your desires. Your goal is usually only about yourself, so you are often the only one who is interested in achieving it. So you have to take the initiative and fight for what you want. An example is, I've been having dreams of different rooms inside an abandoned asylum I've never been to. I dream of different people in there. Sometimes they're chasing after me, sometimes they're lovely and we talk. One time I was in the World War hiding from invading soldiers and they wanted to make me fight for their side. Another time it was me and my 2 friends I used to live with running towards this huge tree as as a swarm of people were trying to get us. Number 5. An abandoned food court / mall. Many people dream about an abandoned food court and mall. It's usually somewhat familiar, like that old mall in your hometown that shut down. It's dark, dingy, and there's an eeriness to it. The floor is filled with pale colored tiles, and there's abandoned tables and chairs. Dreaming of this represents the dreamer's feelings of being unwanted or unloved. It may be due to lack of control in your own lives, which reenacts what it would feel like to lose or leave the surrounding things, signifies sadness or depression. Shopping often has to do with making choices, and it's associated with decisions and preferences. An example of this dream is I was on a date in a mall that I've known all my life, but it looked very different in the dream. We were talking and having a good time, but the thing was the mall was completely empty and there were no people in it at all. At one point in the dream, we went to an arcade that I'd been to as a child. I remembered this arcade as always being one of my favorite places to go as a child, and of course, since the mall was so empty, the arcade was empty too and almost looked run down. In the dream, I felt this sort of sadness on how empty and run down it was, as I always remembered it being a fun and lively place in my childhood. Number 4. A dark hallway. This is a creepy one. Dreams about long, dark hallways you can't see at the end of are common. You feel trapped and scared, not knowing where the hallway leads to or if there's anyone else there with you. It's particularly frightening to those who are scared of the dark. It's said that a long and dark passage indicates insecurity, discontent, nostalgia, and worries. If you find yourself in the passage, this means that you are in trouble. If you're brave enough to go through the passage, this suggests that you will overcome difficulties. To dream that you go through a dark tunnel means that you can accomplish what you wish, but first you will suffer some disappointments. An example of this is I dreamed that I was in prison with my mother. At one point I lost my mother and there was a fire alarm ringing and I was confused and lost and didn't know where to go because there was no guard. So I walked around and fell on the ground where I was looking straight down at a dark hallway but couldn't move a limb. I was completely paralyzed, and as I was looking down the hallway I saw two entities that were an in-between of dog and human. They pointed at me and started going towards me, and I tried to scream but my mouth was paralyzed too. Number 3. Waiting in a waiting room. Many people dream of waiting in a waiting room. It could be full of people or empty. It follows with a feeling of doom, and there's a yellow tinge to everything. A lot of people don't know what they're waiting for or what the waiting room is for. It could be for a doctor's office, a bank, a work meeting. The possibilities are endless. Waiting can be boring and frustrating, but a dream where you are forced to wait can actually suggest that you need to slow down in a situation where you are too busy to notice that you are unfulfilled. In the dream, it can feel eerie and that you want to leave, but it's telling you to do the opposite in your real life. An example is, basically, there was this laptop said to transfer your consciousness out of your body into some waiting room. It would be for 2 hours, but that crawled along for me. You were transported to this waiting room with other subjects, but couldn't communicate or leave the room. If you tried, a tall, lanky stick creature would follow you and make screeching noises and chase you until you were transported back into the waiting room. The thing was fast, man. I think I got to a point where I was tired of waiting and I could hear it rambling outside in the dark halls. Number 2. Doors in the middle of nowhere. Another common dream is seeing doors in the middle of nowhere. No matter if it's in the middle of a field, a body of water, or the middle of a room, it's somewhere where a door shouldn't be. We've all likely heard a number of sayings about doors. Don't close the door on an opportunity, leave the door open for love, when one door shuts, another one opens. Each of these is about being open and available to something. When you dream about an open door or walking through a doorway, this could be about moving forward into a new opportunity in your life. It could be about something you are currently going through or something you are looking forward to, something you yearn for. It's said that seeing doors in your dreams relate to a period of transition or change, whether it's positive and full of opportunity or representative of a more fearful, apprehensive time in your life. Doors can represent mystery in our lives, both good and bad. The doors create a barrier, and the unknown lies behind the closed door. Until you open the door, you don't know what's behind it. It's a subconscious thing that many people experience, but it's specific to you and what you're going going through in life. And number 1, the back rooms. For those of you who don't know, the back rooms is an urban legend. The back rooms are an alternate dimension, but one that is not like many other alternate dimensions in the universe. While others seem to be pocket dimensions that are linked to our own reality, the back rooms runs deep inside our own reality, meaning there is no physical way to enter it. Rather, a person enters the back rooms when in a state of deep despair or during sleep. Ending up in the back rooms is said to be the fate of those who accidentally no-clip through reality and into another dimension. It's described as an endless maze of randomly generated office rooms and other environments. It's characterized by the smell of moist carpet, walls with a monochromatic tone of yellow, and buzzing fluorescent lights. Some may reach the back rooms accidentally on their first attempt, while it may take others hundreds or even thousands of attempts. It's also said that a solitary creature roams the back rooms. It only appears in certain dreams, and the person never sees it. They simply hear its cries and immediately turn and run in the opposite direction. These places are weird and scary, and if you're not prepared to enter the back rooms, people tend to try to wake up from this as fast as they can. Well, that's all for our list of the top 10 mysterious places you've seen in your dreams. I've definitely experienced all of these. Have you? Comment down below and make sure to like and subscribe while you're down there. I'm your host Emily, and I'll see you next time.